Hello, I am Bernie Hayes. Today we'll be talking about the arts with Mariah L. Richardson and Fannie Lebby today on The Bernie Hayes Show. And welcome back. We're going to be talking about something very, very special with Ms. Richardson and Ms. Lebby today. Ms. Richardson, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're the playwright.
I am indeed.
Of what?
Well, I'm a playwright of Functional, the Thelonious Monk Story, but I'm also a playwright. I've had things done with Metro Theater Company, Coca, a few with Call to Conscious, Shakespeare Festival, St. Louis, and Gitana Productions. So I've had a lot of different plays around the city in the last 10 years or so.
Right now we're talking about what play?
Right now we're talking about Functional, the Thelonious Monk Story.
Thelonious Monk Story.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. You wrote this play, right? You wrote the play?
Yes.
More or less, okay.
Yes.
And Fannie Lebby, Call to Conscious. You know, Fannie, you haven't been in 4, 5, 6, maybe 6 years. You haven't been on the program.
I know. I think the last time I was here, it was Linda and myself, and we were talking about Unsung Voices of St. Louis,
Perhaps,
which you were
featured,
in. Right, you were in. We cast you in the show.
Yeah, well, Linda's been here since you, though. Linda's been here since you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she probably has.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so nice to see you.
Good seeing you.
And
too.
you're directing this.
I am directing this production. Yes, I'm helming this ship. We're going on this journey together.
Yeah. This is the second. This is the second time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
You two are so talented, each one of you, and it's just a pleasure to have you here in the studio with me.
Thank you.
Mariah, tell us about the playwright. Tell us about why you chose Thelonious Monk.
Well, I actually was commissioned by Fannie to write a piece about Thelonious Monk. And so that's why I wrote the piece. And so I did a lot of research to learn about him because I just didn't know very much about him at all. And so Fannie says, could you write a play about Thelonious Monk and dealing with his mental health issues? Yeah. And I was like, yes, I can do that for you.
And Fannie, how did you come up with this idea about Thelonious Monk?
Okay, first of all, the Call to Conscious is an organization whose mission is to stir the conscience of the community to facilitate social change. And we deal with issues like police brutality, health disparity, mental illness is a part of the health disparity thing, especially in our marginalized communities. So we thought that we would write a play or get a play written about mental illness. But we also wanted to bring that artistic part in there, okay? And the artistic part was the music. And we thought about Thelonious Monk because we knew that he had mental illness and he was misdiagnosed, like a lot of us African-American people are, at least as we're poor. And they gave him psychotropic drugs, we found out, and which ultimately derailed his career, okay? And so we wanted to highlight mental illness, especially for those marginalized communities, to let them know that even though, you know, we do have a stigma about that, there is help out there, okay? And we don't have to suffer in silence.
It's amazing because Thelonious Monk is one of the most famous of the bebop era pianist, and a lot of folks just consider Monk a nut, more or less.
Right,
I mean, just
but he
saying
was,
like
you know, he was a victim of the system.
Sure.
In my opinion, back then they really treated, especially black men that were mentally ill. You know, you would get harassed by the police, as you still do now, and they will put them in something like what they I call it a dungeon, because it was like in the basement of Bellevue Hospital in New York.
Called a snake pit.
Yeah, snake pit, exactly, exactly. And the conditions were deplorable, so it was really, and in a way I can kind of understand why we as African Americans have that stigma, because who wants to see your loved ones shut away like that, you know? So for that reason, we wanted to highlight that during that time. as well as Monk's musicology.
Yeah. Who was a genius.
He was. He was a musical genius.
Yeah,
and like you said, people thought he was a nut because he would play and he would get up and walk around and dance, you know, and hear the music in his head and then come back. The amazing thing would be that he would come back and start playing exactly where he left off.
Right. He was I mean, so many different songs I can name.
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Richardson, was it difficult finding out, researching Thelonious Monk?
You know, it was in a way because there's very little written about him, but there is one source that, and I can't think of what's the author's name?
Robin Kelly.
Yes. His book is very thorough. I mean, because it talks about, it starts from the beginning of his life, even talking about his parents and what was going on, because his mother did not want her kids to be sharecroppers, basically, in the South, and she moved them north and left the father. Well, the father came for a minute, but he couldn't deal with New York, and so he left. So she was there, and was that, what was the area? I want to say Sugar Hill, but that's not what it was, in New York, where they eventually build the Kennedy Center. Is it the Kennedy Center? The Sugar. I thought it was Sugar Hill.
Yeah, Sugar Hill. And he talks about that.
Yeah, so you know, prominent black community until the city comes in, of course, and moves all those people out and takes the land and do what they want to do.
Renewal.
But the book is thorough. I mean, it talks about
Negro renewal.
Right. It talks. I mean, it gives us so much information, and so that was and so I had so much information that I had to just choose incidents that I wanted to highlight. Right. So I kind of narrowed it down to just give us the kernel to let us know what was going on.
Right.
Yeah, I like to see, let's look at the poster. It says Functional, the Thelonious Monk Story. It says written by Mariah L. Richardson and directed by Fannie Belle Lebby. I'm going to come back and talk about the actors, how you chose them, very much for too. But when is the story? What can we see and where?
Where is it going to be seen?
Yeah,
at the Missouri History Museum.
Tell us when.
Where did you? When? Oh, okay. April the 20th through the 22nd. And if you come on the 20th, they're having a cocktail party before the show starts at 6:30. And then on that Friday, the 21st, there will be the show starts at 7, and we're having Professor Reggie Thomas come in, who used to be at SIUE. When I was teaching over there, he was there. And he's going to come in and do a talk back. When we did it at the Bistro, Dr. Gerald Early did the talk back.
Right.
And then
even on Saturday, who's talking back on Saturday?
On Saturday, we're having NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness of St. Louis. There are 2 representatives from there that are coming in to talk about mental illness and how, the resources that are out there. And they will also provide literature and numbers and everything where you can go and get help for yourself or your family members.
And that show is at 2 p.m.
At 2 p.m., yes.
Okay. Now you said it's going to be at the History Museum. Where is that located?
That's at 5700 Lindo.
Yes.
So where the Bolivar dead ends into the
in
museum.
Forest Park.
And most people know where it is because that's also where they do the music with Twilight Thursdays.
Yeah.
Well, how much will it cost? What's the price?
It is free.
Well, say that again.
Free.
A free show. Yeah. So everybody needs to be there.
Right.
So it's called Functional, the Thelonious Monk Story.
Yes.
Written by Mariah L. Richardson and directed by Fannie Belle Lebby. Okay, and it's going to be the Missouri History Museum, Lee Auditorium.
Yes.
5700 Lindell Boulevard. And it's free.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be Thursday, April the 20th. And then a follow-up April the 21st and Saturday, April 22nd.
Yes.
So it's like a full weekend.
Yes.
It is. We wish we could run it longer, but...
Okay, let's come back and talk about that later.
Okay.
We're at the New Life Evangelistic Center. My guests are talking about a wonderful play called Functional, the Thelonious Monk Story. But we're supported by Reverend Larry Rice of the New Life Evangelistic Center, who's been here more than 51 years supporting those in need. And we'll be right back with our guest after this.
Will you help New Life Evangelistic Center get back into 1411 Locust Street? Your tax-deductible gifts are urgently needed at this particular time, and there's many different ways that we're working to get back in that facility. One of the ways is to continue to inform the community through the Bernie Hayes Show and other programs. And if you haven't supported the Bernie Hayes Show and the work of New Life Evangelistic Center, please do it now. It's urgently needed. Your gifts are deeply appreciated. So many homeless people are waiting to get back into 1411 Locust, and so many others need the direct help that New Life is trying to provide at this time, but is facing some real financial needs, and that's why your gift is very, very important. And to express our thankfulness for all of you that are sharing your gifts, we want to send you this special Bernie Hayes cup. It's my wife's favorite drinking cup. She loves to drink out of this cup, and this is actually the only coffee cup she wants to use is the Bernie Hayes cup. There's something very special about this cup, and we'll send it to each one of you that share a gift of $25 or more with the New Life Evangelistic Center and ask for your Bernie Hayes cup. It's P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166. Your gift will not only help us get back into the 1411 Locust building, but will help our first responders that are on the streets, the first responders that we have out there day after day, night after night. It will help keep our women and children in our safe houses, continue to keep our training programs open, our worldwide mission work, whether it's in India, Haiti, Africa, so many different things the New Life Evangelistic Center is doing. In addition to NLEC TV, tell your family and friends about it. Put it on your phone. Put on your, get that phone app on all your friends' phones so that they can all see the Bernie Hayes Show or go to 24.2. It's your prayers and gifts that make all of this possible. I thank God for those of you who continue to pray for the reopening of 1411 Locust and the work of New Life Evangelistic Center. There's so many obstacles we're facing as we try to help the homeless, but we're going to continue to give it to God. We're going to continue to pray. We're going to continue to work, but we need you to partner with us. So again, it's New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166. I thank God for each one of you that are praying, caring, and sharing.
And welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes. Our guest is Mariah Richardson and Fannie Lebby. And they're talking about a brand new play called Functional, the Thelonious Monk Story. Ms. Richardson, you said this is the second time this play has been there. What? Tell us about that.
So, again, I was commissioned by Fannie, A Call to Conscience, and they were partnering with the Jazz Society.
Jazz St. Louis.
Jazz St. Louis. And so it was done at the Jazz Bistro, and it was a wonderful weekend because we had food. So it was like dinner theater, and it was cabaret style, and it was fabulous. The house was packed every show. We even had people that were that couldn't get in that were listening to it in a different room. And
there were people on the street looking through the
exactly.
Was that exciting?
Yeah, it was really fabulous. It was really a great time. And,
let me ask this: who's playing who in the play?
Right now we have Philip, Dr. Feelgood, Graves.
Not feel good, but feel good.
Feel good. Graves, yes. He was.
So this is not the person Aretha was thinking about, right?
Huh?
This is not the feel good Dr. Aretha.
No.
Okay. This is Dr. Feel Good.
Yeah. Feel Good, right. And he was our original monk. And I tell you, we need to tell the story about how we found him.
Tell it.
We were auditioning, and there were like 3 or 4 young men that came in to audition for us. But I was looking for somebody that could play the piano as well as act. And so he walked in, he had the beard, he had that pork pie hat on.
And it was just like, that's the
him.
guy.
Right.
That's the guy.
And he read the monologue, and then he played for us, and Mariah and I looked at each other and said, that's him.
That's him.
Yes, that's Monk.
And so because he's a musician, we were concerned about his acting, but he came prepared.
He really did.
And he played Monk when we opened the show. He was just Monk.
Right.
So we're so fortunate that we get to have him again to do this role because he
all the
is
minor notes, the whole bit.
Yes.
Yes.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, let me call to conscience. I want to talk about that too a bit later because I know what aggressive this organization is. But how did you select the person for the mental illness part?
The mental illness part?
Yeah.
Well, at first, mental illness is very rampant in our community.
No, he wants to know how you pick the people.
Yeah.
Oh, the people for it.
Reggie
like Reggie
Thomas.
Yes. Yeah. When we were looking for somebody to bring in to do a talk back, because the show is an hour long, maybe 15 minutes long, and we usually have a talk back. And I wanted somebody that was well versed about Monk, and I invited his son, Monk Jr., but I never got, a response. So then I called a friend of mine, and he said, well, why don't you call Reggie Thomas? And then come to find out, the Monk Institute has a competition every year. At least they had. They're no longer in business right now.
Yeah.
But, and Reggie would adjudicate the competition. So I said, there's our connection to Monk. So I called him and he said, yeah, he'd come and do it. That's how we got that. And I wanted somebody from to talk about mental illness too, because that is really the focus of this whole show. Even though, like I said, we highlight Monk's musicology. And so I called NAMI and they were willing to come in. They came into the bistro the last time. And so they're willing to come in and talk about mental illness and where you can get help.
Okay, so we can plan the whole weekend, right?
Yes.
Thursday, the April 20th.
Yes.
Friday, April 21st, and Saturday, April 22nd. And and it's all free.
Yeah.
And the Thursday, that 20th, is at 5:30 p.m.
Yes.
And the show, it's at 6:30. And Friday, 7 p.m. and Saturday, 2 p.m. matinee.
Matinee, yes.
That's wonderful. I mean,
yeah.
And do you want to mention who the sponsors are?
Our sponsors are, we're funded by the Regional Arts Commission, the Missouri Arts Council, the Whitaker Foundation gave us a grant to help, put this on. We recently got a grant from the Theater Communication Commission, Thrive, and it's a grant that they give to BIPOC, theater companies. Yeah. And so they gave us one, which we were very proud of, because that means our name is getting out there. Yes. Somebody knows us.
Well, Call to Conscience, you guys are pretty militant, aren't you?
Well,
we just did a piece on Flo Kennedy.
Kennedy, we sure did.
Right.
Yes. But, I mean, that's our mission. We have to... get those issues out. There's a lot of issues that were left to fester from the 60s that we are, we still making people aware of, we're still highlighting. And that's important, because our main thing is to get people to advocate for themselves, whether it be going out to vote, registering to vote, hitting the pavement, laying across Highway 40, if that's what you want to do.
Sure. like Reverend Rice.
Really, yeah, like Reverend Rice, right. Yeah. And to advocate for those people that don't have a voice for themselves, to advocate for themselves. So that's our main goal.
And the other thing that A Call to Conscience does, too, is we'll highlight historic figures. Like, I was commissioned to do Annie Malone.
Yes.
And so, and then we did, they commissioned somebody, Michelle?
Michelle did The Great Migration, Michelle Dillard. And then Greg Carr did the story about T.D. McNeil, the first African-American senator.
But the Say It Flow.
Say It Flow was commissioned, well, not commissioned, but it was a new play written by Michelle Tyreen Johnson. And she came into town last week to see the show. And Mariah directed, did a brilliant job.
Okay. Let me ask this. Who is Fannie Lebby?
Who is Fannie Lebby? Ooh, Lord. Currently, wow, I do a lot of stuff. I wear a lot of hats. I am the artistic director of A Call to Conscience, producing artistic director of A Call to Conscience right now. And I also teach preschool at Julia Goldstein. I teach music, movement, and theater games, as well as social justice issues to preschoolers.
Okay. And who is Mariah Richardson?
First and foremost, I have to say that I am a vehicle and vessel for that who has created me. That's the first thing. And I do a lot of things. I'm a playwright, I'm an actor, I'm an educator. So I teach at the Hair Stove. I teach at St. Louis Community College. I am a filmmaker sometimes. I'm trying to get back into that. I'm a creative, and so that's pretty much what I do.
Okay, how can we reach you, Ms. Richardson?
Well, you can reach me, if you want to just see what I do, you can go to mariahacreator.com and you can see my website. But if you want to reach me, you can either email me at mlrichardson11@yahoo.com, or you can give me a call at 314-277-7597.
And Fannie Lebby?
You can reach me at Fannie, Fannie, not Y, c.c2c@gmail.com, or you can give me a call at 314-584-9206, or you can drop into our offices. We have an office space now at 4818 Washington Avenue, Tech Artistra, but you have to call and make an appointment.
This is wonderful. This is great. And then still talking about Functional, the Thelonious Monk Story, written by Mariah L. Richardson, directed by Fannie Belle Lebby. And this is going to be, I've been so excited to get you two on here. And it's just wonderful. We're going to take a short break now. But you know that we're at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. Reverend Larry Rice is still doing the wonderful things that he does for those in need. And we'll be right back with our guests after this.
When we contemplate the grace and the love that we see in Jesus Christ and his sacrifice on the cross, we naturally want to generously give to others. Now, we think of tithing as a tax and we miss the whole point. We should generously give because we so graciously and generously receive from the love and the power of God to set ourselves free from sin. Remember, Christian, it is so important to generously give as a witness of the gospel that you yourself have received in your own life. It is important to give to churches, not just money, but your time and your resources as well, recognizing what you yourself have received, because all things, all good things that we have come from our Father above. Give generously and joyfully.
Today's subject is Louis Armstrong, was born August 4th, 1901 in New Orleans, Louisiana. In 1918, he replaced Kid Oliver's band, then the most popular band in New Orleans. In 1922, he received a call from Oliver to come to Chicago for the Creole Jazz Band. In 1924, he joined Fletcher Henderson's orchestra. Unhappy, Armstrong left Henderson to return to Chicago in 1925. Back in Chicago, OK Records decided to let Armstrong make his first records with a band under his own name. By 1932, Armstrong, who was now known as Satchmo, had begun appearing in movies and made his first tour of England. In 1936, he became the first African-American to get featured billing in a major Hollywood movie with his turn in Pennies from Heaven, starring Bing Crosby. In 1959, he was called into the studio to record Hello, Dolly.
Hello, Dolly. This is Louis Dolly. Mighty glad to have you back where you belong.
In 1967, Armstrong recorded a new ballad, What a Wonderful World.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
He died in his sleep July 6, 1971, in his home in Queens, New York. Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
Are you feeling down and out? I want to encourage you to experience hope in God's creation. How you can go for a walk in a local park or in the woods or even along the ocean and experience hope at this time. It's all outlined for you in this free book that I'll send you if you just write me and request such. You can write me Larry Rice, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166, and request your book, Experiencing Hope in God's Creation, or call us at 314-421-3020.
Welcome back. My guests are Mariah Richardson and Fannie Lebby. We're talking about the wonderful play that's coming, Functional, the Thelonious Monk Story. It's going to be featured at the Missouri History Museum in the Lee Auditorium, 5700 Lindell, right there at the Bolivar, on Thursday, April 20th, at happy hour at 5:30, showtime at 6:30. Friday, April 21st. Tell us about what's happening Friday the 21st at 7 o'clock.
Friday the 21st, we have the show, and then we have Reggie Thomas, Professor Reggie Thomas, coming in. He's a head of the jazz music department at Northern Illinois University, and he's coming in to do a talk back on his experiences with Monk and the Monk Institute. Okay,
and Saturday at 2 o'clock, you actually the play will.
We're doing the play at the we're doing the 2 o'clock matinee, and then NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness, will be there. Their representatives will be there to talk about mental illness and where you can go and what you can do. Okay,
once again, how much does it cost?
It is free, free.
Once again, tell us, Mariah, Ms. Richardson, why did you really get in depth on Thelonious Monk? I mean, Thelonious was a complicated person. How did you treat him?
Yes. Well, that's what I once I was doing the research and I realized that he really was a complicated person. But it was a story that I believe that many people, especially in my generation, didn't know. Now, the generation prior to me probably knew all about his music, but it was almost like he was a historic relic, and I wanted to bring him to life. And so, yeah, it was complicated, and I still feel like there's some things that I want to know, because I feel like that at some point there must have been a place where it all broke apart, that he got into this place. And then again, because of the way the system treats black people, especially black men, and those in the arts, it was important to tell that story.
Okay. Go ahead.
Another thing with that is that during that time, in order for you to play, you had to have a cabaret card.
Oh, sure.
And you got that from the police department, I was told. And so, because Monk was caught with drugs, they took his cabaret card for 6 years.
Yeah, he and Billie Holiday.
He and Billie Holiday. And they could not play. He had no work. So that may have been when he started to have the breakdown. The break.
Because that's what his livelihood was.
Sure.
So he had to go on the road, but he loved New York.
He did.
And he didn't mind being on the road, but he didn't want to be on the road, and that was the only way he could make money. And where he could have made a lot more money had he just been in the city.
Okay. We have 2 minutes left. Fannie Lebby, tell us about some of the other plays you have working.
That's coming up?
Coming up.
Okay, the next play will be, we're doing a tribute to Catherine Dunham. And it is written by, directed, and choreographed by the phenomenal Miss Vivian Watt.
Okay.
And we don't have a venue yet because we don't have brick and mortar, so we do our plays in different places. So we're trying to find a venue for that. But that would be the 27th, 28th, and 29th of June.
June, right, okay. And Ms. Richardson, what's in your future?
Oh, well, right now I'm doing a commission for 2 theaters in Omaha as part of a BIPOC TYA collaboration with, there's 19 different BIPOC playwrights. We're partnered with 19 theaters, well, about 22 theaters, and we're writing superhero plays for young audiences.
That's wonderful.
This is really great. So briefly, once again, we only have about half a minute left.
Okay.
How can we reach you, and how can we reach you?
You can reach me at mlrichardson11@yahoo.com or 314-277-7597.
And Ms. Lebby?
And you can reach me at fannies.c2c@gmail.com, or you can call me at 314-584-9206.
And let's see, Miss Fannie's not here right now.
Right. right. Oh, you know.
But you will call him back. And thank you so much for each of you being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you
and
so
each
much.
and every one of you, thank you for watching the Burning Age Show and supporting Reverend Larry Wright, Southern Life Evangelistic Center. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Stay safe, please.